Alright, I'm going to be doing some videos here on knot tying, and these are just going to be instructional videos that are hopefully going to be very simplistic and really help you to understand the methodology behind knot tying, and it's going to help you remember multiple knots. I know a lot of videos will just show one individual style of knot. The person will just, go through it basically and show you how it's done. They may do it different ways. You'll look at different videos and see 50 different ways to do it and multiple pronunciations and names. And it just gets confusing. So this is going to be kind of a one-stop shop for a basic technique that's easy to memorize. And I'm going to show you several knots that can be used for many different things. And hopefully you'll be able to pick this up pretty easily and memorize it long term, so you don't just forget it as soon as you do it. So we'll just start off quickly here. We need to look to know a little bit about knot terminology. I've got a piece of paracord here about 2 feet long I practice with. Okay, we've got 2 ends to a rope, right? So we've got our working end, which is the end of the rope that you're actually working with, and the standing end, which is the piece of the rope opposite of the working end that's usually, standing still or it's not being manipulated. That's pretty easy to remember. And then we've got a basic loop, which is often referred to as a bite. So you'll hear me referring to it as that as well. Okay, so we want to start out with all of these knots I'm showing you right now in this figure 9 position. Okay, this is simply just taking a straight piece of rope and just making a 9, wrapping the working end and putting it crosswise across the top of the standing end, the top, okay? Not the bottom. Now with, knot tying, it's either over or under, left or right. Seems pretty simplistic, but if you forget one of those, you're going to do it wrong. So you always have to remember over or under, left or right, which one. So the 9 that we're going to be working with for all these knots, working end over the top of the standing. Okay, so the first one is the most simplistic knot there is, in my opinion. You just grab that figure 9, bend it that way, and there it is. That's a Marlin hitch, okay? It's that simple. Just take the bite, just bend it back over. Nothing's even been tied, nothing's been done. You just bent the rope, okay? To finish it, you take a toggle, in this case will be my finger, or a piece of wood, a handle, pull both the working end and the standing end simultaneously, and that tension will bite down on, I shouldn't use the word bite, but it will pull down on the piece that's inside of the marlin and secure it. And you'll see that with any good knot there should be symmetry on both sides usually, so it should look the same on each side. So that's a marlin. Now you could actually do multiple marlins on the same piece of rope if you wanted, and could make something like a rope ladder. Obviously you'd need another piece, and then you could just weave sticks through. You can make a real simplistic rope ladder that way. It's mainly used in like hammocks and such, where they'll put a little piece of wood in there and then they'll tie another rope that's attached to the hammock around that toggle and secure it that way. So that's a marlin. Now the cool thing about the marlin, it's also another knot, yet still being itself. It's still a marlin. So the same thing again, marlin. Okay, we can pull it tight. Now we just take the top piece here of the standing end and just pull it. Okay, pull our loop down to give ourselves some slack. Pull, and then pull the standing end and working end at the same time. Okay, that just makes it a basic slip knot. Okay, now the characteristics of that slip knot, which essentially all it is just a simplistic square knot tied around the standing end, but it'll cinch up on anything that you attach it to. So that would be great for like a snare, or if you're tying it around a tree and you wanted it to hug the tree, you can just start out big and then just pull it tight, and that thing's a self-tightening knot. It's not coming undone. It's going to stay tight as long as there's tension. But again, that knot is the same as a marlin. I don't know how it transitions like that into something different, but it does. So you just go here, marlin, pull it, and then you've got your slip knot. So that's two knots right there that are basically the same knot. Okay, so we'll start again our figure 9 as all these knots are. Go into our next one. This is going to be one of the most common knots there are, called the bowline. So we start out making a basic square knot. This is the knot that everybody thinks about, or everybody knows about when they go to make a knot. It's very simplistic, okay? But you'll notice if we just kind of loosen it up, that when you make a square knot, there's 3 sections. No matter which way you turn it, doesn't matter. There's always 3 sections. Okay, there's the top, middle, and bottom. Okay, even if you turn it the wrong way, you'll see that it's left, middle, right. You want it top, middle, bottom. Okay, so we keep it like this. Got 3 fingers, 3 holes there. Stick your fingers in there. Okay, those will act as the guide. Take our working end under the standing end. Okay, then back through. It's either going to go through the top, middle, or bottom, and it goes through the middle. We pull with our left hand on the standing end, pull with our forefinger and thumb on the working end. We make our bowline. Okay, this knot is not adjustable. It looks just like that little slip knot, but you can't tighten that. That will always maintain that shape. It's a very solid knot, very easy to undo, but it's always going to maintain that shape. And that can be great for a ton of different things where you don't want the loop size to change. So again, start out with this basic shape. Stick our fingers through. Working end goes under the standing end, back over and through the middle hole. Pull tight. We've got our bowline. So our next one, starting out figure 9, is kind of like a mixture between a bowline and that slip knot that I showed you. It's called a taughtline hitch. Okay, we don't go through the bite, we go under it, making one full loop around, or one full wrap around. Then we make a D. Now the D can either be above or below the standing end. It's going to be below. Then I'm sorry, I have to give myself some more room to work with here. So from our D, we go through the bottom, then back over and through the D. Okay. You do have to dress this up a little bit to make sure it gets tight. You want these pieces to be close together and taut. Okay. Now look, I'm pulling really hard right now, like really hard, and that thing is not moving. So it looks like it's a bowline because we've got a solid loop. You remember that slip knot when I pulled, that thing immediately tightened around my finger because it was loose. This one has a little bit more to it. There's more tension, so it's tight. But check this out. The bowline can never be adjusted because of the way it's tied. It's impossible to adjust. This one can. Yet I can pull it and it's not going to tighten. But yet I can adjust it. That is an awesome knot to know how to make, because you can adjust the tension in nearly anything that you're tying with it. Now different types of rope won't take as easy to that, so you may get a little slippage, but this is mil-spec paracord, so it lends itself perfectly to giving that good tension, so when that's pulled, it doesn't self-adjust or self-tighten. And this can be used for, you know, like tarps on a tent where you want to get that tension just right. And you don't want to use like a, you know, a trucker's hitch or something like that where you have to tie extra loops and knots. This is just kind of a one-stop shop for being able to adjust the tension of your line. So that is the taut line. And that's basically 4 knots that we've done right there. And those can be used for anything from, you know, bushcraft, camping, to everyday usage, you know, hammocks, tying stuff to your car, truck, whatever. Can be used for almost anything. The key to remember with those is to just always start out with your figure 9. The problem I always had with learning knots was people would do them all different kinds of ways, starting each one out differently. And I'd always forget, okay, well, does a bowline start out with the working end, you know, up or down or left, you know, these, you know that they always start out at figure 9. So when you're memorizing it, and if you want to watch the video again over, you don't have to try to remember it from step 1. You already know step 1. You're not going to ever forget figure 9 starts out like that. So you just have to remember, you know, the last steps of the knot. And get those 4 knots down, because those you're going to be able to do so much with just those 4 knots. And it's actually even 3 is really all it was as far as learning how to tie them. But those are going to give you a nice range of abilities when it comes to utilizing rope just from those. So look out for more videos on knot tying from me, and I hope you enjoyed this one.